Hi everybody, Nick here, and what you're looking at is my V-Raptor, equipped with a few products that I'm calling the Plastic Fantastic series. They're the ugly parts with a beautiful purpose. When I first got my red V-Raptor, which is now the V-Raptor X, I loved the camera and everything it could do and all the images it could produce. But what I didn't love is that all the accessories for it seemed to contemplate you using it in a really big studio environment, or at least an environment with a lot of people who don't seem to care about how big, bulky, or heavy a camera is. I really like setups that are compact, that are easy to move around, and not necessarily just for handheld or run and gun work, but whether you're moving from a tripod to a gimbal, or whether you want to set something up on a jib or whatever, it's always helpful to have a more compact and lightweight setup. So I started designing some parts for my own camera that would let me have a really compact, lightweight rig. And I've shown them off a little bit, and enough people have asked me if I would sell them copies that now that's what I'm doing. So there are 4 parts in the set. They consist of the low profile monitor clamp, the 2 side handles, and the top handle. So 3 or 4 parts depending on how you count. I'm going to talk to you about exactly what these parts are, what they do, who they're for, and who they're not for. So let's take a look. The first piece in the series is the low profile monitor clamp right here. And this is kind of the key. Bringing the monitor down really makes this whole setup a lot more compact and a lot more like maybe mirrorless or small compact cameras that you may be coming from if you're just getting started with bigger rigs like this, or even if you're familiar with this kind of rigging, I'm sure you've used more compact setups like that. And bringing the monitor down was the first goal of this part, but ultimately it became even more important than that. So the red DSMC3 hinges have some problems. So the original DSMC3 hinge is partly an aluminum part, and then it has a nylon bearing sleeve on top held in place with these 2 really small countersunk screws. And the problem is that those screws can tend to back out and then scratch the clamp and then seize and bind, and it's a whole mess. And Red introduced the upgraded rigid hinge, which is aluminum clamping aluminum. Now, the reason they didn't do that in the first place is because aluminum on aluminum clamping isn't something that wants to turn freely. That's how you get things to stay in place, is having a metal on metal clamping structure. If you want a solid clamp, but one that will still move, one of those components needs to be self-lubricating, meaning it needs to be made of thermoplastic, nylon, or something similar. So that's exactly what this clamp is. The entire body is made of 3D printed thermoplastic, but it uses stainless steel fasteners for the clamping forces. And they're split, so one bolt goes into the monitor, and it'll work on the DSMC3 monitor, or any small HD monitor, or any monitor that uses the small HD 2-pin interface. So that includes some OC monitors, some FeelWorld monitors. A lot of different monitors use that kind of interface. So if yours has it, this clamp will work on there, and it will allow you to clamp your monitor directly to any 15mm rod, whether that rod's made of aluminum, carbon fiber, steel, nylon, anything. It'll clamp on, and you'll get this beautifully smooth, dampened movement of the monitor, but it'll stay exactly where you put it. And that's the ultimate benefit of this, beyond just moving the monitor down, is also this really nice damped motion that isn't going to damage your rod, isn't going to move when you don't want it to, and it's just perfect. So that is the low profile monitor clamp. It comes with the stainless steel fasteners, and it's ready to go. So next up are the side handles, and these are really what makes this setup so fun to use. Like I said, there was nothing on the market that would let you rig a camera like this without adding like 2 to 4 pounds onto the camera. And that's not only a bummer for handheld work, but it means that you're going to get limited on gimbals. Right now, this entire rig would fit on an RS3 Pro, possibly without even taking the monitor off. But if these handles were made of something much heavier, that wouldn't be the case. Of course, you might have to take the right handle off to clear the gimbal, but nothing else really has to come off. This top handle, the side handle, they're all incredibly lightweight. So I spent a lot of time engineering these. I spent hundreds of hours in design, dozens and dozens of hours printing prototypes, testing, etc. And we arrived at the final structure that you see here. These handles, they terminate flush with the front of the camera body, so there's no interference for things like this breakthrough VND. This clears just fine, so you can get those kinds of things in and out with ease. And actually it's really nice because now I've got fingertip control of the VND right there while I'm grabbing the handles. These weigh just 42 grams each, but they've been tested with loads of over 110 pounds. I put together a fixture and lifted without any issue. In fact, the only reason I didn't start testing with heavier weights is that I couldn't get a grip on this handle with just one hand. So that's the side handles. They come with the stainless steel fasteners that you need to attach them to the camera. There are versions for V-Raptor and V-Raptor X, and for Komodo and Komodo X. And finally, we've got the top handle. So once I had the rest of these pieces, I realized that sometimes I still wanted a top handle. And I've used the red top handle, but even that compact top handle is still 230 grams or so in its smallest configuration. So that's why I developed this top handle. This top handle, like the side handles, is just 42 grams. And so you can leave it on all the time. Whether you're putting the camera on a gimbal or doing anything else, you can leave this top handle on at all times. And it's just the perfect size for one-handed operation or using it as a support. And the front is tapered here so that you can still rotate the monitor even 180 degrees if you need to. So that is the series. We're calling it Plastic Fantastic because they're 3D printed out of thermoplastic. They're not as pretty as CNC machined parts, but they do something that nothing else on the market can do, which is that they give you this really nice, strong, ergonomic platform from which to build a really nice compact setup, and they do so without adding almost any weight to the system. All of this gear all together is still only about half the weight of a single red Komodo compact top handle. So that's what they are, that's what they do. Who are they for? They're for people who really like that kind of setup, or for people who really appreciate being able to have a fully rigged camera without sacrificing on usability. Who they're not for are for people who don't want to put plastic on their camera. I can understand if just from a philosophical perspective you don't want to do that, or you don't like the way it looks, or you don't want to pay the asking price for the parts. I'm not selling these cheaply for the cost of filament. I'm selling these for the cost of the development time, the prototyping, the testing, and ultimately my representation to you that they're going to work, and they're going to work as I say that they will for you. So these are available in the F-Zero store right now, so check them out at fzerocamera.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.